We've known for years there's a demographic wave sweeping the U.S., and some of the facts you may or may not have known, I've just heard, is that in a few years the under 20 population will not have a majority population in it. In 10 years, 75% of your workforce will be millennials. In a few years after that, the whole country will be that true melting pot that we heard about as kids. And those new markets, those new dynamics, that new opportunities are growth capital opportunities for us to fund, to grow, and to build, a better economic base. And truthfully, beyond this wave, I'm still hearing even this week of companies that are in the $100, $200 million range that don't feel they have access to capital. And we have been working for 3 years with the Minority Business Development Agency to open up some access to capital. We've been working with the peer advisory groups and some other webinars and information, and really looked for a way to grow this area. George Moy, who's on our advisory committee, and Gordon Liao, who spoke this morning, helped us build that peer advisory group and helped us grow into the program that we held this morning, which was the Minority Finance Forum, where roughly 100 people joined us to understand better what this ACG network is, what these relationships are, and how they can access capital for their next stage of growth. We're talking similar companies that we had in the peer advisory, where we saw those that participated heavily. About a third of them doubled their revenue over the course of a year. A number of others restructured and doubled their profits. And still others dealt with succession issues and the types of things you deal with on a day-to-day basis. So we're really excited about bringing together a collaboration that brings new opportunities to everybody here. And within that sense of the opportunities, I offer you the challenge to find these companies. They are going to be looking to network with you today, but also that if we're truly investing in the middle market, that some of these companies get capital over the next 6 months. I think if ACG really is the leader in growth, we should be able to do that, with ease. I'm also honored to be able to introduce to you the National Director of MBDA. I was honored to meet her earlier this year at a investment manager forum, and when I heard her speak at the opening, she spoke very eloquently about access to capital with a passion about what the MBEs around the country need to actually grow, and that's become a cornerstone of her agency and certainly the mission of ACG. So it's a good collaboration. We're looking forward to building more, and I've asked her to challenge you as well. As a little background, Alejandra Castillo holds a BA from the state of New York, a master's from the University of Texas, and a law degree from the American University. She practiced law privately for a number of years, then served as the executive director of the Hispanic National Bar Association, served as a senior policy analyst at the White House Office of Drug Control Policy, and then joined the Department of Commerce International Trade Administration in 2008, and this year was named National Director of the Minority Business Development Agency. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alejandra Castillo.
Well, good afternoon. I believe everyone has had a cup of coffee, and I'm going to beg for your indulgence for a couple of minutes because I am particularly delighted to be here this afternoon. This has been historic for us to be able to partner with ACG, particularly with the Minority Finance Forum. I also want to take a minute to again recognize the women's breakfast this morning, which was not only informative but also inspiring. And I think that the path that ACG is taking is the right path. We talk a lot about the changing demographics. It's no longer statistics, it's no longer a forecast, it's a reality. And I always say that if the U.S. is to remain globally competitive, it must leverage its diversity. And that's the type of path that we're trying to engage as well. Unfortunately, access to capital continues to be the #1 impediment for growth for minority businesses. We know that. We've done several studies of it. We've talked a lot about it. We have proposed policy changes at the federal level. But you are the architects of really changing the way that capital flows into MBEs. And I want to today do 3 things. I want to inform you, I want to persuade you, and then I want to challenge you. Alan Lakin said, planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it now. And as I said before, we can talk about 2050 as the year in which minority populations are going to be the majority. But why wait till 2050? Why not tackle it now? I really believe that as investors, as individuals who are dealing with the business community day in and day out, I really believe you too are seeing that change. So we're here to make sure that we can provide the type of partnership, that we can provide the type of data that you need, but most importantly, we also have a role to play, and that's to make sure that minority businesses are well positioned, are well prepared, have all their records in order, so that the deal flow can become a much easier sell. Today is one of those days that I'm delighted because there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of excitement. I have the great pleasure of working for Secretary Penny Pritzker, who came into the Department of Commerce a little bit over a year ago, and her motto has been Open for Business Agenda. And in that role, MBDA, as one of the 12 agencies within the Department of Commerce, is playing a critical role, not just in business development, but also in innovation, in tech transfer issues, in issues of global market, getting into the global marketplace. We know that minority-owned firms are twice as likely to export because of linguistic and cultural ties. And we also know that 95% of the world's consumers live outside of the US border. So when we put out all this information, the picture becomes much clearer. Why not partner with minority businesses? We come in all sizes, we're in all industries, and frankly, we're changing the face of the business community in America. So again, as I said before, I wanted to inform you. I also want to persuade you, and I hope I've done that. And here's the challenge. The challenge is that I want to make sure that as we engage in today's activities, that this is not just a one-off, that this is not just an event, but mostly that this is a partnership, a strategic one that will render great returns, one that will render, hopefully, great business partners, but one that will also render economic growth, not just within respective communities, but more importantly, throughout our country. We've seen challenging times, but we're also seeing how the country is coming out of it. And I really believe that it is this type of engagement, this type of partnership that makes a difference.